It's Friday. Okay. I'm going to get stuck straight in.
Sounds like Nick is having... Have you guys mentioned that already? Nick's having some mic issues.
No.
Again, yes.
At least we got the chat window.
Dude, there's $6.
Hello?
Mine's a lot more expensive than that.
Yeah. Mine is
using earpods.
Yeah, mine's like $200, so.
Yeah.
It's a Blue Yeti microphone.
Very cool.
I just have it standing on my desk.
Did that work?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
So last time I opened up using the app and the mic didn't work. This time I open it up using the browser and the mic doesn't work. So I go back to the app and now it works.
Yeah.
I hate Microsoft Teams.
See? But, yes. Poor Mike. Actually, it's okay. We have an hour. And I want to really focus on the first deliverable, right? Which is that spec. And it's due what, Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah, the 13th. It's mainly requirements for the project. And those are the big points. I think the requirements themselves, non-functional and functional, are worth 60 points by themselves.
Okay. Now, did I mention, like Faisal, would you say, I don't know if Faisal can hear us, even if he can't, he's muted. Would you say I was fairly competitive?
Competitive, you were fairly demanding, yeah. Which is normal, so.
Yes. But what I'll tell you is, I want this to be a good deliverable, damn it. Because that's just how I'm drawn.
Yeah. I worked a little bit on it. Like, I did a title page and did a little bit of non-functional requirements that I could think of so far.
Yeah, I've done about 20 pages. And obviously I'd like to share some of that with you. And I've also got content that I'd like to discuss. And obviously then we just, like, because I have a lot. So first of all, and it's probably, so I want to kind of set the scene. I do that a lot, and again, sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not. But so the scene is, obviously I know a lot more about this than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore it's not reasonable for me to step back and be all executive and go, well, good luck with that, and here's my wisdom and guidance. Thing one. Thing two, did I mention I was competitive? Right. What I don't want to do, though, lads, is disempower you by pushing you out of the way. You know how some folks, and that's a very delicate balance, especially for my personality type, as Faisal will also testify to. We had some great times, Faisal, but some testy ones.
Part of the package.
Who was the guy that you would always clash with? What was his name?
Charles.
Charles was Corps of Cadets, nuclear engineer. Corps of Cadets being Texas A&M Corps of Cadets.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
And fresh out of college and full of confidence.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, so what I'm going to walk through is just some of the sections. I have content. I want to kind of throw it at you guys a little bit. I don't recall who has what sections, and to a certain extent, it kind of doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk really quickly. Interrupt, please. Interrupt questions. Also, the document is designed for a kind of traditional OOP, OOD development. We're doing an ERP, and I would welcome there's lots of things I would welcome. First of all, any thoughts, any ideas, yourselves, your personality, you're just you in this, right? I'm going to run in different directions. I'm very nonlinear in my thinking, which can be a blessing and a curse.
Right.
You know, so I welcome feedback. So we'll jump around a bit, but I want to get to, hey, what's left to do? Because we have obviously the weekend and Monday, and I would like us to meet Monday and have kind of a working session to finalize the document. Can you guys make it? And if you can, when?
Monday. Do we have an actual lecture on Monday, guys?
Probably.
Probably at 2:30. Yeah.
Let me check the schedule, the calendar.
Yeah, 'cause I think we just had a team meeting, so we probably actually have lecture at that time.
Yeah, this is lecture meeting. So
Then I'll tell you what. Let's
At
here's
12.
my suggestion. Let's meet in the morning, right?
Yeah,
So that we can go over it, and that way we have A, recovery time, and B, recovery time, and B, you know, we can use the lecture, or you guys can use the lecture to ask any detailed questions or clarification on the content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I will tell you that I found, so the formatting in the document is weird because when I try to copy shit into it, it doesn't quite work. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Especially images. Also, you know, it's kind of a vintage version of Word doc. So that was another thing I noticed. So I've kind of copied shit in and out of it. Isn't that interesting? It's also kind of repetitive.
A little bit. It's yeah. It's a lot of rewording stuff.
Yeah. So again, not sure. So just so that I have an idea of who currently has what, and so I heard there's some work on it.
Like I've done a little bit of work on my part for non-functional requirements.
Who's that? Is that Hunter?
Yeah.
Hunter.
Like I actually went down to my part for performance requirements, safety requirements, security requirements, and quality requirements. I put like 3 to 4 things on there so far what I can think of for right now what we have.
Okay. I have some material that I'll send you on performance requirements, which we can get into. Essentially, they're just copied out of Azure and Business Central expectations. They should fit well with what you've done. It's just raw material. You can just cut and paste. Okay. Who else has what?
So I have. Go ahead.
Oh, I've got functional requirements.
Mm-hmm. Is that Kyle?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle. Okay. How much have you been able to do on that, though?
Not a ton yet.
Okay.
I'll be doing it over the next few days. I'm probably going to need a bit more discussion about exactly what kind of requirements we're going to have for the project.
Yeah, to allow it to function and stuff, yeah.
Okay. Who else?
I have the overall description, and the main primary one that I'm responsible for is, I think, the level 0 use case diagram that he wants us to do. And yeah. And so like the 4 primary things I have to do is the functions, the level 0 use case diagram, the operation environments, and the user documentation. So those are the 4 main things I got.
Where does user documentation fit? Sorry, I didn't see.
I asked him, I emailed him like to clarify. He means like what kind of user documentation will be provided, maintenance, manual, user's guide, online help, that sort of stuff.
Okay, I have a strong opinion on that too. Well, I have an opinion about everything, but let's talk about that.
Sure.
Just for a minute.
This is very traditional.
It is, and here's, so I'm a huge fan of a cheat sheet, a 1 to 2 page cheat sheet. What we can show him, and you know, you or I or anyone, because guys, make sure you access BC, is that for pretty much everything, there's already help. And sorry, that's my phone. She'll call back. there's also videos and YouTube. And I do want to kind of talk about, I have a little, I'll send you an email remind me to send you an email on knowledge management and how that works in a more modern kind of environment. Because a lot of times your users can just get onto YouTube and see via YouTube videos, but it's useful, I think, to have a reference to specific YouTubes that's where my the Nav Viking. I don't know if I've ever mentioned the Nav Viking. He has some really good stuff, as well as the stuff you can get from Microsoft. So I think what we do is reference that, but also show that we've actually done some research and point to specific YouTubers that have better than most. And again, it's a matter of curating that, because telling somebody who's a user, especially say an AP clerk, hey, it's all on YouTube, that's a little niche. So I think that's where we kind of say, hey, we're having this approach and philosophy where they can do, they can link into the Microsoft equivalent, but for the following functions, we found the following videos, right? I think, and again, it won't take too long, because as I said, there's one guy that's just got pretty much all of it. Now it's Nav rather than BC, but he's already building up a library BC. What you find is that, and again, this is words that you can use, which is, there's a whole, in a weird way, probably because it started in a nice socialist country like Denmark, and we can all hope that the US becomes one. Microsoft, even though it's a commercial product, and Nav is a commercial product, has always had a very open, a very open, very sharing community of companies and people that share their knowledge. And it's all kind of available and out there on the web. And I think we should point that out. And just like everything else in this space, there's just too much of it. The key is finding the thing that's useful in that moment, or is particularly relevant to the area that you're looking at. I'm going to show you some kind of eye charts. I'm also going to share with you, I've done most of section 2, pieces of section 1, and I'm working on section 3. I got completely bored by 4, and 5 and 6 are kind of similar, right? But obviously, what I'd like to do is just dump a bunch of material on you. You're smart folks. You'll take that material, boil it down, move it around, edit the crap out of it, and then we'll have something useful. And I think we have the time. We're tight, but we have the time to do it. Okay, so Hunter, you talked about your stuff. Kyle, you talked about your stuff. Victor, you talked about your stuff. Jonathan, Jonathan or Nick, whoever wants to go next.
I'll go. For my main one I'm doing, it's the external interfaces, and such as like user hardware, software, and such. And then I'm also working on I think it was legal, social, environmental, and business rules of the non-functional requirements as well.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm doing 4 before him, and he's doing the other 3.
Yes.
Cool. Good. I can't think of a lot. Well, I can think of a lot of legal.
Yeah, I updated the table of contents with his too. Like, it wasn't there before, so I had to add those on there.
Yeah.
And then, Jonathan, what you got?
It sounded like he was having a mic issue earlier. I don't know if he's.
Yeah.
He just dropped.
He's in the mountains now. So.
Oh, he's in the mountains?
Yeah, he is. He's in West Virginia right now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
There he is. He's back. Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. My internet going out for a second there, and I tried moving on to my phone, but I couldn't hear anything there.
So what section do you have? What's your delivery?
I have the introduction, and I believe it's part of the system features.
Okay.
I'm trying to look on Canvas again to see, but it's not booting up for me.
You've got where is it? Got like 6 files open right now. System features, and then 5.5. Wait. What? Wait. 5.5, not 8.5. There it is. 5.5 and 5.6. So assumptions and dependencies, project constraints, and then introduction.
Good. Assumptions and dependencies should be
All
interesting. And project constraints should be interesting. And we can chat about those too if you like. Okay, so
Yeah, okay.
good. How much progress? I'm getting the impression, not a huge amount of progress.
No.
Not
I've
a
had 3
ton.
midterms. I'm set up for 3 midterms for last week and this week. It's been a little
Fine. And again, this. I'm going to spend part of the weekend starting to populate tasks and activities in Jira, and then we can start to agree how we want to split them out. So this is the introduction that I wrote.
Oh, wow.
Talks about BC, most items print industry assembled to order, and the reference model will include role center setups for following roles. System will be configured with least privilege access. I need a little bit more on that. I'm going to work on the security side of things. Obviously, I didn't bother with document conventions. No one else can do that. Also, if somebody could do the intended audience, I mean, it's going to be the stakeholders and stuff. I'm going to do the product scope just because I talked about the software being specified as documents exist in generic Business Central, application demo to customers. The goal is to have something, Father, I think you'd agree, something we can demo to customers of Vercom as the new version in their Pramac print industry, in addition to configuring and adapting the system, the product, blah. I talked a little bit about how SAP is on the high end. This is systems mid-market space. I'm going to just fill that out. It'll be about a page. References I haven't bothered with. And then I have spent a fair amount of time on overall description, and we can maybe cut and paste it, right? As in product perspective. Product being developed fits into Microsoft Business Application Solution. That's the base. I think I talked about that at one of the meetings. This is a large ecosystem of Microsoft owned and developed by blah. There you go. Remember I told you Microsoft wants to take over the world? They phrased it as empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We are the Borg. We will assimilate you and you will achieve. Which I thought was like, I don't think they think about what they're saying when they say it. But isn't that interesting? I kind of mentioned here that Business Central alone, which is just this lonely little thing on the corner, has 140,000 companies and about 2.3 million users. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it doesn't have 120 million users, which is what Office has. But again, just kind of talks about the different components of this massive thing that Microsoft has put together. And you can see down the bottom too, you got security, 7 trillion cyber events daily, right? That's the environment that we're working in. So, then Business Central blended into each Microsoft. I talked to about Forrester. I don't know if they like Forrester or Gartner, but I just thought I'd mention it, kind of different quotes about, application design and development, pros, blah, Power Apps, common data services, AD security. So there's a reference to AD security, just cut and paste AD security. Azure database. Faisal is very familiar with Azure AD and security because it's a pain in the arse to work with, but it gets there. This is product functions. I kept the prompts because I'm like that. This is an eye chart, which is great because like it shows all the different capabilities and functionalities that we get for $90 per person per month. But at the same time, how it's just overwhelming. And then kind of it's daunting map, blah, blah, blah. The foundational elements, which were the bottom here. So it just breaks it out to the areas that we'll be focusing on. Items, why that matters, manufacturing, functionality, blah. Faisal, there's your diagram, because that's the additional component.
Cool.
And we got into user classes and characteristics. What I've done here is say, okay, well, here's the people that will be using the system. And then what I've done is I've borrowed liberally from job specs for these people, because these are the people that will be using the system, and these are their primary job functions. So this is what they'll be using for, right? And to me, that's more relevant than, I don't know, than the OOP, OOD kind of description of a user, because we're not building. In two cases, we are building a specific piece of software, but in most cases, what we're doing is configuring to meet a role, and we'll get into role centers. I think I have that in another another document. So again, it's those different users. So that, that's that. And again, I'll be sharing this with you guys. I don't think I'll bother with this diagram. It's just another way of looking at it here and what's involved with it. And it looks cool, but I just couldn't figure out a place to fit it. I do want to get into, I guess, external system. Oh, no, that's the. Yeah, I don't think we need this. In terms of the kind of system requirements or the external interfaces, you've got Dynamics 365, Azure, and Microsoft 365. And if they sound confusing and the same, good, because I don't know that Microsoft could market its way out of a wet paper bag. But that's one view of the environment. I've got a few different ones. I'm trying to get to it. There we go. This one. So I think this might be useful in the sense that it talks about you've got an on-premise network with your users. You've got the DMZ. The beauty, and there's Microsoft 365 in Azure with Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Intune. So I think that probably gets to, I don't know the level is really the question, because God knows you can go to a lot of deep detail, and then it just breaks that out into components. And then it's just a matter of saying, well, by the way, you don't need any of this because you can just connect via your browser. And as long as you authenticate, which we all did yesterday, through Microsoft's Azure AD, you can get in. Unless, of course, Microsoft's Azure AD is down, in which case, that 600 or 120 million users are pissed at Microsoft. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Which again, if, the document assumes kind of this on-prem, sitting in a server somewhere thing that really doesn't happen. But at the same time, being able to outline this. So, because at one stage in the kind of document, I'm like, none of this is really relevant. But at another, what I thought was, what? It's worth describing in the document, not so much what we're going to do, but what Microsoft has done for us, and then how we're going to use that. You see kind of the subtle difference?
Yeah.
Because
Should we
go ahead.
let our professor know that? Like a
I
lot of
would.
this stuff. Yeah, because I'm sure he would understand, like, because like we're dealing with like a huge company like Microsoft.
Yeah. But
So,
and you see what we're also dealing with is SaaS, right? Software as a service,
mhm.
right? And what we're doing is we're taking an innovative approach which says, you know what? And I think it was. And you can send him. Go ahead. Here's a Gartner white paper. Right? Here's a Gartner white. An assumption. Okay. So, as IT leaders are facing mounting challenges around application delivery, developer shortages, and skill. See, that's you guys. And skill set challenges are impacting their ability to deliver increasing levels of business automation. So what we're saying is, hey, you don't, or at least that you don't have to develop all this, and most people don't. But at the same time, there's a huge kind of gap, if you like, between, hey, I pay $90 per head per month for software, but no one can use it, and I don't understand it, right? And it's this amorphous, huge thing that's a tool that if you modify it and you configure it and you understand and you apply it to a business, can be useful. But otherwise, it's just a block of wood sitting there, right? And I think that's what I'm talking about, right? And again, I can just I can just forward this Gartner. There's a kind of report, and just to point out, there's Microsoft, right at the top there. There's Salesforce. By the way, those two, Salesforce, you can make shed loads of money if you can tell people how to use their Salesforce. I think the same with Microsoft, and that's part of that's we can. This is just a white paper, but down at we'll get to Microsoft. Everybody, of course, half of the companies in this are built on Microsoft, even though Microsoft is one of the companies. So isn't that interesting? So, and it's talking about Power Apps, but that's because Business Central is not all that well. It's not all that well marketed in the U.S. It is very much a global system that is starting to be marketed into the U.S. as a replacement for Great Plains, but also as the kind of mid-market tool for just for companies to operate. Very much kind of a competitor to QuickBooks and a competitor to NetSuite, and in a roundabout way, if Salesforce ever thinks it wants to do MRP, ERP, a competitor to Salesforce. Now, of course, I happen to believe, because I have made it an enterprise tool, but that's a whole. So, again, I would get down to here and just cut and paste some of this very nice language, which the more cynical among you may call BS, into the document, right? Because it has pretty words with all the latest buzz.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. They still haven't figured out how to license it. If you ever talk to someone who has ever done anything with Microsoft and you wish to hear a 5-minute rant, just say, so what about the licensing? Let me tell you. So, okay, that's that one. I've also got one Forrester. The Forrester one is quite good too. And again, I have links to this.
Yeah, this would definitely be helpful.
Good. And again, what it hopefully shows your professor is, hey, we're kind of leaping to what is current, kind of the current, kind of current state of the art as it relates to application design and development, as it relates to IT. And we're enabling that for a specific industry. That is fundamentally what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And we're doing it in a low-code environment, which is not to say a no-code environment. And we're kind of standing that a bit on its head, which is part of what Forrester is saying here, by the way, which is that low-code, no-code requires better developers and better ability to develop than code, because code can cover a multitude, and it's slow and it takes time and it requires high expertise. So there's not a lot of expectation out of it. But with a low-code, no-code environment, the actual capability, the functionality, the business function, expectation out of that is much higher. Yeah. So it's ironic in a way, and the IT industry keeps doing this, is that it shoots itself in the head, right? By saying, oh, here, user, use this extremely complicated, very structural, very abstract capability that you've never learned because it doesn't have code in it. And it's like, I will tell you that any project only has 5 or 8% code in it. All the rest is figuring shit out, figuring process, understanding process. And the good news is, with this team, we'll get to do all of that, right? So again, I'm going to send you these two. Let's cut and paste. I took some diagrams, but everybody uses Forrester and Gartner. They are always wrong. They are always incredibly optimistic. But if you want to make a splash, just use your Forrester and Gartner. They make some valid points. For some reason, the actual images didn't copy, but I think I can still send you this, right? So I haven't bothered cutting and pasting references and links, right? Just I wrote stuff. Okay. So I was thinking, I know you guys have weekends and stuff, but we might. Yeah. I'm going to just kind of brain dump a lot of this stuff. I'm going to send you some sections. Could you guys? I know you're probably just getting up to speed. That's reasonable this time around, but I think we want to be more proactive in our kind of scrum and kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then let's definitely plan on a 1 to 2 hour session on. So you saw content, you saw Gartner, you saw Forrester. Let's see. User classes we talked to. Okay. This is the business application. The ISV apps and extensions we built on top of existing. I have just lots of different ways of looking at. Let me just expand. Sorry. We'll get you out of the way, Victor. This is kind of more detail on the common data model, common data services, right? I think the problem I have is I have too much content, right? I'm going to send some of it to you and ask that you kind of cut out what you don't need. Just whatever. This, by the way, it says finance and operations. It could just as easily be business central. And I don't think anyone will really notice in this diagram that it says F&O, right?
Right.
And Dynamics 365, the marketing, sales, service, talent, those are all CRM, and they've been absorbed into Dynamics 365. So ironically enough, this doesn't even mention BC, which annoys the shit out. That's a whole different.
That's weird.
But this might as well be it. So, and it's talking about Armanino, by the way, is a their ISV. So again, this may or may not be things that your professor is looking to see. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And if it is, let's put it in, because he can check a box. We can get the grade. We can all move on.
Yeah, he just wants what's on the outline we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
everything else we can get rid of.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said we might like go back later into these documents we create and add some things on it in the future too. So.
Okay. I think this might be there. Okay, yeah. So I'll send this is the physical access, system access. Oh, looks like I need to. Because I do want to talk about, and I thought I had copied it. There is a very. I do want to talk in detail about the security in Nav because it has multiple layers to it, and each of the layers matter. So I'll probably spend an hour or so on that and send it to who's doing the security.
I have a non-functional requirement for security.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can look into that part to finish up that section. And I guess safety is kind of similar, but not quite. That has to deal with like design and pretty much user safety, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how there would be safety. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's not like
I guess
Maybe
to
like
like
online
dangerous.
safety.
yeah, I guess to prevent like loss or damage on the product and kind
Yeah.
of issues like that, I guess, for safety.
Like data
requirements.
protection, maybe.
Yeah, like
Oh,
and
Yeah.
security is more probably like regulating the system and like protecting users' privacies and whatnot.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, okay. I thought I think I have, like I downloaded something on that. That isn't it though.
Yeah, the actual document we have kind of like has like a little description of what it is too underneath.
This is I think. You guys have Visio?
Sounds familiar. I don't think
Yeah,
I
I
do.
heard of
so.
Visio. I haven't used it.
Okay. It's pretty.
Should we get
well, if it can be it can be fairly expensive.
Oh, okay. I usually go for like the free stuff. Try to find something free that does like something similar. Like
Yeah,
I kind of have like
it's a Microsoft product, so you guys might get it with your
UNT.
There's-
yeah.
There's good
So
ones.
here's what so this is talking about. This is everything you ever wanted to know about security, right?
Okay.
There you go.
You know, we're using SaaS. You might just copy this,
Software
You
as
can
a
just
service,
copy
yeah.
right? Governance, security policy, identity systems, threat awareness, data protection.
There you go. There's security.
Yep. Data protection. Yeah, those titles themselves can pretty much be
In there.
like
In
a
that section.
bullet point for
Yeah.
me.
Ownership
Yep.
access. Good news is all of this is, see how you can cut and paste it?
Yeah.
You don't got to retype it or no.
No, I wouldn't bother around because,
It's all there.
there is going to be more than enough opportunity for new thinking around some of the stuff we want to do.
I
And
could
where
probably
it
get
says
some
read
safety
more, by
into-
the way, that does actually go to a, you can go read more. Portability, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So this is like generic security. So yeah.
That pretty much covers
If you
security.
don't have Visio, what I'll do is I'll just cut and paste some of the crap out of here.
Yeah, that'll be helpful.
And then just send it to you. So that's my action from this meeting.
Be great.
That'll be great.
Good. What else?
I can actually probably knock off security by just reading it, or not safety as well by just reading that too.
Yeah, you sure
They're
can.
both
And
similar.
This is the cloud architecture, but I think that's what I was cutting and pasting some of that stuff from. God, it's being slow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of that is the beauty of what I hope the journey we are all on. So you see how you can have different kinds of shapes. You can connect engineering, whatever. Yeah. So again, that away. Steps to prayers. So this is kind of the accessibility, edge devices, internet connections. Kind of talks about internet. Again, I can do a couple of things. One, as you saw, I was just cutting and pasting that out so that it's in a Word document, so it's in a Word format because I like the Word format. I can save this as PDF. What else?
Yeah, I guess that portion could probably go under like performance requirements.
Yeah, well, it's probably under external interfaces, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
There you go. And that's going to be part of what we all need to figure out is, well, here's a lot of content. Because this is, I think, it's who gets it and how much massaging does it need. And to me, that's the kind of the new, here's before the cloud, after the cloud, right? Software as a service, Microsoft blah, areas of network investment for success in the cloud. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For high SLA, best performance, blah, 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 blah. I say blah, blah, blah. People spend their whole lives on this, just on this.
Right.
No, I just don't find it as interesting as building things, to be honest. But then that's how I get in trouble with other parts of IT. I'm too blasé about their whole lives. Okay, so I'll send this because it's the whole cloud architecture networking thing. And it's got a lot of content. But it's a matter then of what content you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or more importantly, what content your professor wants so that you get a good grade so we can all move on.
You just got to find the stuff you want.
Exactly. And then we check the box,
just
look at the rubric, move on. And it doesn't hurt to read this because it is the water we're swimming in. The good news is a lot of this has been decided for us. It's all managed for us. That's part of the $90 per month. However, it can really F us up if we don't have at least the concept of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, actually the document, even though it's a little old-fashioned and in many ways, all this stuff is set up and functioning, and that's what you're paying for when you buy SaaS. It doesn't hurt to have knowledge and awareness of it and to kind of go, yeah, that's covered. And also you find just odd gaps where you're like, Jesus, that's not covered. But isn't that interesting? So that's that. What I haven't gotten to yet, let me see if I've got it in my little. No. are just pictures. Yeah. I got it. Yeah, I didn't bother filing. What I'm trying to get to, and I haven't yet, is there's an additional piece. I obviously didn't fill it in, or I didn't download it yet. There's two pieces. One is Azure AD, which is not the same as that. Yeah, we'll get to it. Is Azure AD? I wonder is it a PDF? No. Okay. Because you've got role center to begin with, which I want to talk about a little bit. Then you've got user groups. Actually, I had swear. Maybe I put that in. Hang on. Maybe it's no. I'm going to have one more attempt to find it, and then I'm just going to tell you what it is. Yeah. Okay. What it is it's the same in Nav as it is in Business Central. You've got the concept of, and again, I'll probably write it down, but I want to kind of tell you what it's about. Least privileged access, LPA, says that you only see and can only change the things that are necessary to your job. Mm-hmm. And it's a design principle that means that you have to define somebody's job. Then you have to define the different resources in the system they should have access to in order to accomplish that job. And then what level of access they need to accomplish that job. And by default, they can't do anything. So it takes security, and instead of locking things after the fact, it, in a very considered way, requires you to define access up front. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And this is called what? LPA?
Well, it's, LPA, least privileged access. No, it's not a Microsoft way, but Microsoft has taken it to heart, especially with Nav. And again, good socialist country like Denmark, they're like, we'll assume that you can't just sell people's information, and that you can't just willy-nilly do whatever you want to other human beings, especially if you can make a profit. So they lock stuff up pretty tight, and then they just let it loose as needed. And the way that that's done is there's three fundamental layers. First is the role center, and what the role center does is it, you kind of almost saw it. The role center says, here's the things when I sign in I want to see, right? Because weirdly enough, when you sign in, you don't want to see, where is it? Every frigging thing that you could possibly ever need, because that's just too much, right?
It's overwhelming.
Yes. So that. So you have your little inboxes, your little outboxes, your kind of status. But also that is kind of a security thing, because unless you particularly want to wander around, here's your environment. You don't necessarily know there's other things outside that, and you don't necessarily have to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the first layer. Then the next layer is you're usually part of a user group. I keep getting the wrong page. That user group is AP or AR. An AP AR has a set of permission sets. In other words, an AP user group, a person whose role is AP, because it's role-based security, which is quite familiar to some folks, I'm sure, says, okay, AP can only look at things that accounts payable need. So there's a permission set that says, well, you need to be able to read general ledger. You need to be able to update the books when you post a check, but you don't need to be able to directly change the books. You need to just be able to indirectly update them when you post a check. So you end up with permission sets. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I guess why I'm spending time on it is core to the system. And obviously, if you miss a bit, then by least privileged access, that person can't do their job, or at least a part of it. And when they can't, they get very annoyed. So I'll just tell you that it ends up being far more important than it looks to begin with. So, but yeah, okay. So I think I'm going to send you you guys a whole bunch of files. You each have the sections that you are responsible for. What's a good way to, and does it make sense to touch base sometime during the weekend and then on Monday just to finalize things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm already halfway done with my part already.
Good. And let's do that. Anything else? I know I've done a lot of talking, but and that should calm down as we get.
Not really. I updated the document a little bit. We finished the title page. We also finished 2 other sections that we're supposed to do. So we got 3 sections down already.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Good. Okay, then let's call this done. What time on? Let's make it Sunday. What time on Sunday works?
Anytime for me, Sunday.
I'm open all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what time's civilized?
Same time as today. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess 12:30 works for everyone.
12:30.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12:30 is fine. Yeah.
I'll have to check my work schedule. I think I'm working at like 1.
Okay.
1. Okay. I will probably most likely record it and put it in meeting minutes for everybody too. So, like, I've been recording our PowerPower meeting so we can look back on it.
Good.
And posting them on YouTube.
Good.
So if you miss
That's
me,
Kyle, right?
That's a Hunter.
That's me. Yeah, like I've been recording, uploading YouTube, and just sending a link in a Word document of our meeting minutes and like giving a description of each one that we talked about. So
that's brilliant. Thanks, Hunter.
Yeah.
We could move it earlier. Like, how's 11:30 doing for everyone?
That should be fine for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, let's make it 11:30.
Yeah, sure.
And then Hunter, you probably have to head to work at some stage. So if you have to drop early, that's cool too. Okay. Good. And then on Monday, let's make it 10 a.m. on Monday.
10 a.m. Monday. Okay.
That works for me.
Good. Okay, I'll set those up. I'll send stuff off, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
All
Cheers
right.
now. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.